Solar System. Look at the diagram of the solar system. The Sun is in the center of the solar system. Can you name the other planets? Which is the nearest planet to the Sun? Besides that, the solar system is also made up of natural satellites, dwarf planets, asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. What are they? Let's learn about them. The Sun. The Sun is actually a star. This spinning ball of hot gas consists mainly of hydrogen. The temperature at its core is extremely high. The Sun is about 110 times bigger than our Earth. Although the Sun is very big, it looks small from the Earth. This is because it is 150 million kilometers away from us. Even the light from the Sun takes about 8 minutes to reach us. The Sun generates a lot of energy, the reactions of its hydrogen gas. It gives out heat energy and light energy, which are very important to all living things on the Earth. Sunrise and sunset. Every day, the Sun seems to rise from the east and set on the west. However, the Sun does not move. The Sun stays in its position at the center of the solar system. What causes the Sun to appear to rise and set? Let us conduct the following simulation to find out. The Sun appears to rise and set because of the rotation of the Earth. The Earth rotates from the west to the east. Look at the diagrams below. The Earth rotates in an anti-clockwise direction. People at position A in the morning can see the Sun in the direction along the Earth's rotation. The Sun is seen as rising from the east. As the Earth rotates, the people is moved to position B, midday. The Sun is seen straight up in the sky. Later, the Earth rotates and the people will be at position C in the evening. The Sun is seen as setting in the west. Phases of the Moon. When you look at the sky, often you are able to see the Moon. The Moon may not look the same every night. Sometimes it may look like a circle and sometimes it may look like a semicircle. In fact, the shape of Moon is sphere. What you see are the different phases of the Moon. The Moon does not emit any light. The Moon reflects the light from the Sun. The phases of the Moon occur because the Moon rotates around the Earth. As it does, we see different parts of the Moon that are illuminated by the Sun. The whole cycle starts with the new Moon, where the Moon is between the Sun and the Earth. The dark surface of the Moon is facing us, making the Moon invisible. In the night sky, this is why we do not see the Moon at night. As the Moon moves, a small part of the Moon illuminated by the Sun can be seen from the Earth. We see the bright surface as a crescent. This phase is known as the new crescent moon. As the Moon continues to move, we can see a greater portions of its bright surface. Now, the Moon looks like a semicircle. This is known as the new half moon. Slowly, the new half moon becomes the new gibbous moon. More than half of the moon that faces us is illuminated by the sun. Now, the moon is fully visible to us, as its illuminated portion is directly facing the Earth. This space is known as the full moon. The Earth is now between the sun and the moon. In a line, we can therefore see the moon as a full circle. As the moon keeps moving, a smaller part of its bright surface is facing us now. This space is known as the old gibbous moon. Slowly, we can only see half of the illuminated moon, known as the old half moon. The last space is the old crescent moon. We can see only a small part of bright surface of the moon. This whole cycle takes about 29.5 and will repeat itself. In one complete cycle, the moon moves around the Earth once. Phases of the moon at different times in a month. Lunar calendar is a calendar oriented with the phases of the moon. A month corresponding to the time between one new moon and the next, so that on certain days of the month, the corresponding phases of the moon are indicated. The lunar months alternate between 29 and 30 days. Examples of lunar calendars are Chinese calendars and Islamic calendar. The solar system. Planets. There are 8 planets in our solar system, going around the sun. Can you remember their sequence and names? This helps you to remember the sequence easier. My very educated mother just served as nuts. The planets can be divided into 2 groups, namely the inner planets and the outer planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are called the inner planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are called the outer planets. Generally, the inner planets are smaller and are composed of rocks. They have few to no natural satellites or rings circling them. The outer planets, meanwhile, often have dozens of natural satellites and rings. They are composed mainly of gases. The planets move around the sun in an elliptical pathway called orbit. Each planet has an orbit of different length around the sun. The farther is the planet from the sun, the longer is its orbit. The duration for the planet to complete the orbit around the sun is the revolution period. As the planets orbit around the sun, they also rotate at their own axis. The rotation period is the time taken for the planet to make a complete rotation on its own axis. Some planets have smaller objects orbiting them. We call them natural satellites. For example, our Earth has a natural satellite which we call the Moon. Mercury is the smallest and nearest planet to the Sun. The temperature can be as high as 430 degrees centigrade in the day and as cold as negative 180 degrees centigrade at night. It does not have any natural satellites. Venus is the second planet from the Sun. It has poisonous air that traps heat. Thus, it is the hottest planet. It does not have any natural satellites. Venus is the brightest planet in the solar system. Sometimes it can be seen in our sky, and it is called the morning star or evening. Earth. Earth is the third planet from the Sun. This is the only Earth is the third planet from the Sun. This is the only planet with life forms. About 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. It is the only planet that has water on its surface. The Earth's atmosphere consists of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and with traces of argon, carbon dioxide, and water. Earth has only one natural satellite, that is the Moon. The Moon is a solid ball of rock, without air and water, so it has no life on it. The Moon spins as it orbits the Earth. Mars. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. It is also known as the Red Planet, due to its red iron oxides in its soil. The surface on Mars is dusty and dry, covered with red dust and rocks. It has a very thin atmosphere composed mostly of carbon dioxide. Mars has two small natural satellites named Phobos and Deimos. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the Sun. It is the largest planet. It is cold and has poisonous air. Jupiter is mainly made up of hydrogen and helium. Thus, it is called a gas giant. There is a giant spinning storm in Jupiter's atmosphere, which is called the Great Red Spot, that it is almost the size of 3 Earths. Jupiter has 69 natural satellites. Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest planet in the solar system. Its rings make it the most beautiful planet in the solar system. The rings are made of ice and rocks. Like Jupiter, Saturn is also a gas giant, made up of mainly of hydrogen and helium. Saturn has 62 natural satellites. Uranus is the seventh planet from the Sun and the third largest planet in the solar system. It is very cold and windy, so it is called an ice giant. Unlike other planets, Uranus spins on its side. Uranus rotates about its axis once about 17.2 hours, faster than the Earth. Uranus takes 84 Earth years to orbit the Sun. This means one pole of the planet gets about 21 years of direct sunlight and the other gets 21 years of darkness. Uranus has 27 natural satellites. Neptune is the eighth and farthest planet from the Sun. Neptune is nearly 4 times the size of the Earth. It is a gas giant composed of hydrogen, helium, methane, with traces of ammonia and water. Neptune appears blue because the methane in its atmosphere absorbs the red light from the Sun but reflects the blue light back into space. Neptune spins very quickly about its axis. It takes about 16 hours to complete one rotation. It takes 165 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Neptune has 14 natural satellites. Before 2006, there were 9 planets in our solar system. Pluto was the 9th planet and the farthest planet from the Sun. On August 24, 2006, Pluto was reclassified as a dwarf planet. A dwarf planet is an object in the solar system that orbits around the Sun, but its orbit is full of other objects like asteroids and comets. There are 5 known dwarf planets in the solar system, namely Ceres, Pluto, Eris, Haumea, and Makemake. The nearest dwarf planet to Earth is Ceres. Ceres is the smallest known dwarf planet and it is located between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. It is the largest object in the asteroid belt. Astronauts are people who are trained to travel into outer space. They may be the pilot or crew member of an expedition to explore space in a spacecraft. There are plenty of asteroids in the solar system. Asteroids are pieces of rocks which are smaller than planets. Most of them can be found orbiting the Sun between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. This area is known as the asteroid belt. Sometimes the asteroids bump into each other. When this happens, the asteroids may break up into smaller pieces. Thus, asteroids are different in sizes from a few centimeters to several kilometers wide. There are plenty of rocks that travel in the solar system. They are known as meteoroids. Most of them are smaller than asteroids, ranging from small grains of dust to large pieces of rocks. Large meteoroids are believed to come from the asteroid belt. It is believed that 65 million years ago, an asteroid with a diameter of 10 kilometers struck the Earth. The impact of this collision caused a chain reaction that led to the extinctions of the dinosaurs. If a meteoroid falls into the Earth's atmosphere, it gets hot and burns. Thus, a falling meteoroid is seen as a streak of light in the sky. This is called a meteor or a falling star. Most meteors burn up before they reach the Earth's surface. Leftover parts that reaches the ground is called a meteorite. A meteorite can make a hole or crater in the ground. The larger the meteorite, the bigger is the crater formed. Comets. Sometimes lumps of ice and dust from the space enter the solar system and start to orbit the Sun. They are called comets. When a comet comes close to the Sun, part of the ice melts and leaves behind a trail of dust and gases that appears as a long glowing tail. The tail can sometimes be a few kilometers long. The world's largest meteorite, the Huba meteorite, is thought to have fallen about 80,000 years ago. It weighs 66 tons. It was found in Namibia, Africa in 1920. Thanks.